So callers, be patient. And super chatters, I will get to everything in a minute here. I brought my experts in. Didn't know I was going to bring them in. My producer, Nick, the anchor baby, he gave me this amazing story this morning. And speaking of brainwashing, because America is new to me now, but I remember the days when people didn't give in to it like that. They were not brainwashed. They never just let a doctor or anyone make a decision for them, and they had no say-so about it. They would never just take medication because somebody in a white jacket said it. And even if they took antibiotic, which was rare when I was growing up because I grew up on a plantation down in Alabama, right? If they gave you antibiotics, they explained you can only take this for 5 to 10 days and be done with it. Because it was understood that pharmaceutical medication was never the best for you. It may solve one problem and create another problem inside the body. And so people thought for themselves. That's gone now. This is from the Revolver. For 3 decades, people have been fed with information suggesting that depression is caused by a chemical imbalance, namely an imbalance of a brain chemical called serotonin. Latest research reviews show that the evidence does not support it. What do you think about the fact that people were told depression came from an imbalanced chemical a chemical of the mind, of the brain, and that's why they were depressed? Here's a pill, and now the people are all high on the pill, and they're coming back saying, no, we were just playing.
I think that that's kind of typical of the mainstream media and academia, which is atheistic, secularist, anti-God, anti-Christian and men, that they would jump to the conclusion that it was purely like a physical issue. It was something that can be solved through like medicine and all that stuff, as opposed to just on like God and morality and stuff like that. You know how like they say, oh, the homosexuals and the transgenders are disproportionately committing suicide because of the bullying from the outside.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with this stuff. I think it's they're all too eager to jump to a conclusion that sounds right according to their anti-God view. Aren't Christians and conservatives generally happier than liberals? I think that they are.
But
and better mental health.
Right, that's what I mean.
To stuff.
Unfortunately, though, I know a lot of Christians I've counseled with them, who are on antidepressant today.
Oh, yeah.
And somebody offered a Christian in those days antidepressant medication for a spiritual thing.
Yep.
They would got cussed out.
Yeah, there are Christian counselors who are open to prescribing this type of thing.
So what do you think? You gave me this amazing story. What do you think about this story?
It just reminded me of this segment I did on my show, Nick Stream, and I did this segment on lobotomies. For those that don't know, the last lobotomy that was done in the U.S. was 1967. That was not that long ago.
What's a lobotomy?
It was a medical procedure.
The word before.
It was a medical procedure done on mental patients, usually really mental patients who are institutionalized, and they had no other way of helping them. And it was basically a metal rod shoved through the eye socket, basically.
Whoa.
And then they scramble your brain. That's literally what a lobotomy is.
I'm getting squeamish.
Me too. What the?
They scramble your brain to fix you, right? And the reason I'm bringing this up is because when the lobotomy became popular in America, doctors at the time were amazed because they had no way of curing these people in these mental institutions. And so when lobotomies came around, they finally thought they found something that they could do to help them. And the book that I was reading made this point about these doctors at the time, that they were so into wanting to cure them, their own ego. The book didn't say ego, but
right.
They were so into their own ego of wanting to cure the person that they
could get the credit for it.
That they would do something as crazy as scrambling the brain of someone and leaving them a drooling mess and thinking that that's cured.
Well,
that's what this is. It's the ego. It's all that and ignoring realities. Like
I remember when they used to do electro shock kind of thing to help depression or something like that, right?
Yeah, they did a whole bunch of stuff. And another point I wanted to talk about is you got to call things what they are.
Yeah.
And it's quite interesting, your biblical question this week. Do you believe there are demons?
Yeah.
So you got to call things what they are, right? Or else you'll
If you
never
want
get
to
better.
overcome it, you got to do it. You can give it these fake names and you keep it covered up. You keep the devil, you protect the devil by putting a physical name onto it, like. Anyway, brand new expert, Hassan. Hassan, what do you think about this story that depression is a chemical imbalance in the brain? And now they're saying it's not true.
Well, it makes me immediately think, even like with the joke of me being expert, I mean, in the world, they're letting these so-called experts be, so why not me?
But I ain't joking, you're a real expert.
But even in that, like the experts of like scientists who, a lot of them, not all, but a lot of them are atheists, and they'll try to prove all this stuff about like the space and all this stuff. And even scientists have come to have to realize now they call a molecule the God molecule because they can't explain it. So even they've been forced to be like, okay, we've hit a wall of our own understanding, and now they have this God molecule concept. So in the same way of trying to figure it out, like Hake said, an outer, not a spiritual solution, but drugs and all this stuff, and pumping pharmaceuticals and money and big pharma and doing all this. And then after years and years of people never, being cured of it, they just say, oh, well, maybe we were wrong.
Ain't that something?
It's like with Trump for years.
And I bet this is not going to go mainstream either. This article, they're gonna try to downplay it.
Yeah, and it's like it reminds me of Trump for years. Russia, and then, oh well, maybe we were wrong, but very quietly.
Right.
It's like
some people to
after
this
the
day won't
damage.
admit.
Yeah, after all this and money and
People
propaganda,
getting banned. People,
yeah.
everything.
And then, okay, well, quietly, maybe, I don't know. Maybe.
And then they just go on to the next stuff.
And they're still promoting that reality winner girl, the leaker, who gave credence to the Russia propaganda, and it was unproven information. But their 60 Minutes did a whole interview with her, treating her like a hero.
Oh, and you might cover that on the show today.
Yeah.
Nice.
Amazing. And because I want to get you some calls here, let me ask, what's wrong with the people that believe the doctor that depression is from a chemical imbalance in the brain? That doesn't even sound right to me, right? And so I would have not fallen for that. In the older days, people would not have fallen. What's wrong with the people? They just believe it, and then take the pill.
Yeah, I know that women are quick to like believe in this stuff, or some of them,
Right?
Because
Yeah.
I like the first time I ever met somebody who was swearing by this. It was this older lady who was like advocating for pills and saying, "Oh, this helps me," and trying to promote it on other people, trying to encourage other people to do it.
Yeah.
And maybe they see the effect, or else they just. Many people, I think, are too weak to question. They'll just go right along with it. Too weak and lazy to question it, and they'll go right along with it. Or they'll read, and they'll be intimidated by or brainwashed by all of the propaganda from the mainstream media and the academia and the medical world, medical industry that promotes this stuff as a good thing. So I think they'll rely on other people's information rather than their own good sense.
There need to be a survey of the doctors around the world who recommended this stuff to the people. See how many of them are taking it.
Right.
And see how many of them are giving it to their children.
And how many are actually benefiting from it. Because a lot of them probably are taking it, but you'll see doctors that are fat, they're miserable, they're out of control. So they're no health experts.
Amazing. But I'm blown away at well, I'll get to my little thing in a minute. I want to hear from my expert. What's wrong with the people that they fall for anything?
I think, Hake was pretty much touching on it right there. It's just a real weakness. If you notice, you got to understand it's like a whole torrent of information, media, TV, your own friends are taking this stuff. So you can be out there and be like, I don't know, I think there's something weird about this. And your own friends will be like, dude, like, this is helping me. Why are you being such a whatever? That's happened to me personally, right? And you just have questions, right? And so it just beats you down. The world's trying to beat you down away from this.
Yeah.
And weak people will not survive that. That's just what it is.
Amazing. And you can tell when somebody's on, most of the time, not all the time, when they're on antidepressant, because when you speak to them, they all talking all slow. What's your name?
Everything is fine. Ever since I took my medication.
Or they like real high. Hey, how you doing? Blah, 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 blah.
Like,
They're either speeding or slow down. What the?
And you've talked with a lot of people over the years, like counseling and in church and in men's forums and women's forums. So you've probably seen it more than most of the rest of us.
Counseling, I've been shocked by a lot of stuff. I knew the devil was busy, but I didn't know he was that busy.
Yeah.
It's a mess. What's wrong with the people that they just take the medication or take somebody at their word and not think for themselves?
Unfortunately, the mothers are believing in this stuff, and the fathers are too weak to say, no, my kid's not doing this. I think they're letting the mothers kind of just take them to the doctor and be like, oh, yeah, there's, Johnny is suffering from this, and this is what he has to do. And the father's just like, okay, whatever. And not,
But how about when they grown?
Well, when they grow,
a lot of these kids this happens to them young. A lot of these kids just grow up like that.
I see a lot of.
Yeah, they get indoctrinated. Yeah, it gets indoctrinated
like
as a kid because of whatever the parents are going through, and they feel like let's put them in therapy. But also too, I think as an adult, obviously, no God, no father, and no Jesse.
Yeah, that's right. I remember hearing growing up all my life that our battle was a spiritual battle. Even during the Jim Crow era, black people and white people didn't hate one another because, of course, you can find hatred somewhere out there all the time, right? But because they knew it was a spiritual battle, they didn't hate one another because they knew it was spiritual. And they knew that nothing physical can resolve spiritual issues. And depression, which is really evil, suicidal thoughts and all that come from the devil. And no medication, because even if you take the medication, and I've seen it, I've counseled with it, the people with it, it dumb you down for a moment. But if you miss one day of taking your medication, now reality is there, and it seems harder to deal with reality because you have not dealt with reality. Yes.
Everything you just said about the getting crazy after you stop taking medication is in that article.
Oh, it is?
That was kind of found in that research too.
Yeah. This is one of the reasons people out shooting one another. If they forget it before they left the house, to take that pill, now in reality they're irritated and they seem to working overtime in their mind. They think things that are there that's not happening. They're ready to shoot up.
But I wonder if it's really reality that's going crazy in them, or if it's just because if it's just their the demons in them talking to them. Because like you said, when they stop taking the pills, or if they're on the pills or something, I've heard people say, oh, they hear voices in their heads.
It is that. You're right about that.
That get crazier and harder to deal with.
It is 100% that.
Nuts.
But what I'm saying is they never got on the pill and dealt with that, try to overcome it and understand it, then they will grow stronger away from it.
Right.
But if they're on the pill, they're not dealing with that at all. And now they're off the pill. Now, reality of the devil talking to you, people irritating you, blah, blah, blah. You're not ready to handle that at all.
Right.
You just get mad easily. You want to hurt somebody.
Oh, okay. Yeah. They're being spoiled by this thing that's making them feel good for being wrong.
It's a false sense of life working. Life is not working when you're high.
Right.
What the? Amazing. It's not working when you're high. You got to face stuff. Face the devil. Look the devil in the face. Right in the eyes and say, I see you.
Yeah, because you're always talking about you're not living in real reality if you're listening to those thoughts.
Yeah, it's fake.
Yeah.
What's the solution, real fast?
The solution for this so-called mental illness stuff?
Well, they'll take hold of their own lives and stop taking these pills and what these so-called professionals are telling them. What's the solution for the people?
I would be looking to maybe wean off of it, not go cold turkey if you're on that
You
type of
better
stuff.
wean off it
because some of those people do go. I mean, you frequently hear about these so-called mass shootings.
Yeah.
They're been off of their pills. So, and I would do like what you'd recommend about praying and getting back into reality.
Yeah.
And, like seeking God. I don't know.
Amazing. What's the solution?
If I may briefly, just face life, go through pain, and realize that there are demons.
What's the solution?
Getting to know themselves so that they can, or the parents getting to know themselves so that they can help the kid get to, let them see themselves.
Amazing. My experts, let me hear from my experts. Thank you all so much. My experts, folks.